Good evening. A Mosgiel butcher is in Dunedin Hospital with burns to his face after a gas explosion late this afternoon. Dangerous goods inspectors were called to the incident involving a gas-fired chicken cookhouse. They're still uncertain how the explosion actually happened. The condition of the injured man, David Wheeler, had not been released this evening. One of the gang members involved in last week's Main Street gang fight appeared in court today and was remanded without plea for a fortnight. Police say they're pursuing more prosecutions. Meantime, community workers say the mongrel mob's been trying to keep out of trouble in recent years, but there's a risk that if the conflict is not stopped, there'll be a return to gang violence. Kathy Graham reports.
The mongrel mob say they don't want trouble. They want to get on with their lives and their work. For the past 5 years, that's been a demolition business and various work schemes. The latest, building a whare at their headquarters in Caversham's Main Street.
Well, as far as I can see, I don't see them at the weekends or that, but while they're here working with me, there's no trouble whatsoever.
We're busy doing work around town. We've got tenders with the City Council, the Education Board. We carry that out. And if somebody wants to try and pick our guys off, then they'll act in self-defence the best way possible.
Our people are just simply trying to live normal lives. Certainly there is a focus on them because the clothes they wear or whatever, and I think James K. Baxter summed it up really quite nicely once. He called people, jewels hitting a ball of mud, and perhaps our guys are very much in that category.
They realise there is no future in being in jail. You can't build a life for yourself if you're behind prison bars. And so to avoid going to jail, you have to try and keep yourself out of trouble. And the sorts of projects they've been trying to do have led them towards gaining new skills, which will hopefully provide income for them, which crime will not be required.
Authorities seem to know a lot less about the Southern Vikings.
Well, the Southern Vikings have always been taking a somewhat peripheral back seat role. The mongrel mob has always been far more up front in trying to organise itself. It certainly approached us as a group, asking for assistance, seeking advice, and we've recently tried to work alongside them. That's not the same with the Southern Vikings.
They've refused to talk to us, but probation officers and police say they want to start talking to the Vikings, and they want the violence stopped before it goes any further.
Our local mob members have made significant strides forward. I can't say that would be the same elsewhere. So I'd hate to think that if this confrontation keeps going, all we'll end up seeing is the mongrel mob revert back to a defensive role, to one where it would become known again as a violent group of people out to commit problems and assaults against other people. And I think that certainly is not going to help them in their endeavours.
A case of typhoid reported in Dunedin at the weekend saw a group of visitors removed from a local camping ground. Although the victim was actually staying elsewhere, other members of the party were staying in the camp and were moved out by Community Health Services. The victim was admitted to Dunedin Hospital, and Dunedin's Medical Officer of Health says all contacts have been identified. The Otago University Students Association celebrated its centenary at the weekend, and guests at the celebrations confirmed that students have been politicking and playing up for the past 100 years. Many of those who cut their teeth on student politics came to Dunedin for the event, and as Kathy Graham reports, there were lots of familiar faces.
Pre-dinner drinks helped lubricate the memories of the distinguished gathering of student politicians from yesteryear. They gathered by the decade to talk over old times. More than 20 ex-student presidents showed up, and most of the others were ex-student exec. One of the oldest, 80-year-old Ralph Stevenson, came out from London for the occasion.
We drank an awful lot. You beat your body. I can remember on one occasion we were... I started the Dramatic Society, and I was the first president of it. And we were asked once to perform in the town theatre, doing short sketches, and somebody brought a bottle of gin into the dressing room, and we finished this off. And the next thing I remember, I'd woken up in somebody's house, and through the window there was a beautiful hill with daffodils, and the sun was shining, and I wasn't sure quite whether I was here or on some other place.
In the year I was president, of the OUSA, I was sort of on every mayoral committee that was working for welfare funds and all that sort of thing, because they relied on the students to help them with most things in this town then.
As well as catching up with contemporaries, it was also an opportunity to see how much the university's grown over the years and to indulge in a little nostalgia.
Brass bands men and women from all around the country were on their way home today after highly successful championships in Dunedin. Without doubt, the most spectacular event was the marching contest held yesterday under threatening skies at Carrisbrook. And according to John McDermott, the display by the massed bands was just splendid.
Earlier, each band had its chance to impress, with originality being the key word for the day. But not even those scurrying rabbits were able to catch the country's top marching band, Skellerup Woolston of Christchurch. And to complete Skellerup Woolston's display, a heart-shaped design for Mother's Day.
Great idea for Mother's Day. Hope that you had a good one. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.